Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports for another episode of Mariner Mondays. It is another episode without a major news, a major move to talk about. And this is at least for the show, not the Mariners. I can't speak for them. I can. That's what we do every week. Um, at least for the show, this was a move that we had planned to do already. But Brittany is unable to join us this week. So, Jake, it will be me and you today. Jake is here at CSS. He's our Seahawks beat writer. At he contributes on Lookout Landing as well for Mariners coverage. And he's doing our Mariners show with us here. So, he's more involved now. He's, you know, taking his haired self and including himself even more places.
I stole
Um,
Charles' hair. That's the problem here. That's what
yeah,
happened.
that's yeah, there you go. Um, so yeah, Jake. Unfortunately, as you know with this team, you're well aware, there's not a lot to talk about that's positive or happy. Any joy, whimsy is gone and is beaten to death with a metal pipe.
Nothing to smile
Um,
about in my life.
but there are some things to talk about here. And this is a move. It was funny because there were people who were like, "Oh, they actually did something." I was like, they kind of had to do these things. Um, it was like this is like a thing they do every year. Like it's not a new signing.
hmm
And then I even got an interesting comment under the Cal Raleigh arbitration deal where someone's like, "But Juan Soto got $1 billion." I was like, "These are not related." I was like, "I don't understand this."
No correlation in these in this
Um,
plot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, is the Mariners had a bunch of players they avoided arbitration. There's nobody that's going into from their team that's going to go into a hearing, thankfully. I don't remember who it was. There are a few teams that are dealing with that. It's always interesting to see who feels which players, deserve what. So that's always kind of sticky and I like to watch from the outside.
hmm
But yeah, the Mariners didn't have any issues with that. They signed seven arbitration eligible players, and Randy Arozarena, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Cal Raleigh, Taylor Saucedo, Gabe Spire, and Trent Thornton. They already had eight players under contract for the 2025 season: Luis Castillo, J.P. Crawford, Meach Garver, Meach Haniger, Dylan Moore, Andres Munoz, Victor Robles, and some no-name Julio Rodriguez.
Who?
Um, Jake, are you surprised? Well, yeah, because um, who was it? I think Spot Track had predictions for this. Yeah.
And trade
For
rumors. Yeah.
yes, trade rumors. Thank you. Was the one I was looking for in my itty bitty brain. Um, which ones were you surprised about? And are you surprised that the Mariners went through this kind of seamlessly? Again, not having to go to a hearing for any of these players.
I'm not surprised that they found made a deal with all of them. Certainly, I. It's very rare that the Mariners actually do go to arbitration hearings. I believe. Um, Certainly, the years I've been covering Lookout Landing, so this is my fourth season going into now, that they haven't had anyone go to any hearings at all. Um, let's see. Okay, looks like I'm actually looking through the Lookout Landing chat here. Looks like three Mariners players have gone into arbitration since 2000.
Wow.
Um,
Jesus.
which,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really good, like from a team perspective and a player perspective, because you don't want to have to drag yourself in front of an actual judge with your boss and have your boss list out all the reasons you suck. Um,
This guy don't do this. Yeah.
mhm. Like that's awful, especially with baseball. And we've seen in past, like it's such a team sport that a team can suck and use that. Like the team can suck and have a great player and use that to bring the great player down, right? Like using wins as an argument as to why a pitcher should get paid less when the lineup can't put up more than 1.5 runs a game. Wouldn't know what that's like at all. Um, so I'm not. I'm glad mostly or completely that they've avoided arbitration here. I think it's a little surprising. A couple of the like headliners, like Randy and Logan, are a little bit below what trade rumors kind of speculated that they'd be worth. Um, like let's see. Yeah, trade rumors had Logan Gilbert at 8.1 million and he actually got 7.625.
Hmm.
So that's, 475,000 less than what he was predicted to get, which like that's a lot of money. Um, which I do wonder, kind of what was the impetus there? Like
Mm.
maybe did Logan lowball himself? Did the team lowball him? Like what happened there? Which we'd never known. It's probably good for privacy reasons that we're never going to know that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say ecstatic because this team hasn't made a move, but I am glad that they've done this, and I'm glad that like it feels. I'm gonna say it feels fair. Like I'm sure when Logan is, free agent eligible, he's going to get a bajillion million dollars, and he's going to deserve that because he's beautiful and can do no wrong. Um, I respect a guy with big hair. What can I say? Um, yeah, no, It's good. It's good. Trent Thornton, $2 million. Who would have thought? Good for him.
I know. I mean, I think looking at it, just about everybody here got some sort of bump. I'm not sure on Saucedo or Spire, but I think everybody but those two got some sort of bump.
I mean,
Randy
Carelli
was
had
like,
league minimum, and now he's
yeah,
5.6 million.
Jesus Christ. I mean, so, you know, yeah, I mean, it's nice that was like I said at the beginning. I mean, that's something that they needed to do and they needed to handle. And like you said, it's good that they've been an organization that, for all the issues that they've had, right, they have done that right, at least with their players or by their players. So there's something in that regard.
Hmm.
Um, you know, but it's nice to have that and just to avoid that because I think there are a few teams with other players. I don't know if it's anybody like, and not to demean players, but super notable that's dealing with that currently. So, that's interesting. And then the other move that happened the day of the arbitration hearing, arbitration deal, sorry, was that back-to-back days. I think as Adam Jude with the Seattle Times said, they're transacting at the speed of light now. In back-to-back days, the Mariners added essentially, not to be mean again, but garbage heap relievers. And the day that this happened was Tyler J. Who, what a name. And then was it Hagen Danner was the other fella the day before.
You're
Um,
you're making names up, frankly.
Hagen Danner. Nope, that's the right guy. I thought I butchered that. Hagen Danner from the Blue Jays, and Tyler J, not Blue Jays, from the Brewers. Um, and someone got upset with me on our Instagram and was like, "Who is this? Like, why are they signing this guy?" I was like, "It's funny because Brittany and I in the last show had talked about the bullpen, right? And there was some obviously there's been the discussion about adding in the infield um for the lineup, but I think as some places have looked for the Mariners to sign a bullpen guy.
Hmm.
And I was like, they'll probably just get another guy off the trash scrap and make him, a productive guy like
Yeah.
Colin Snyder, like Paul Sewald, who was available again this offseason. I figured they just do that.
I mean,
And
Jared keeps saying I can fix them, and he keeps being right when it comes to
yeah,
pitchers.
I mean he takes them and he gives them to Pete Woodworth and the other folks in their pitching lab and says, I just imagine whenever I say pitching lab, I just imagine like they take these guys and put them in a Bacta tank and
Yeah, yeah,
somehow it brings out the pitching juices in
yeah. Uh-huh.
them.
Like
Um,
they're in hibernation and they're floating in the blue goo, and they're like
mhm.
arm slot, spin rate. Ooh.
Throw my fastball more. Like I don't,
And
you know.
then they come out
So
of it and they can throw, 97 mile an hour sliders and everyone dies.
yeah, and it's just like who again, like I was saying this too. I was like, who the hell is this Colin Snyder fella? Like
Hmm.
this guy who, I could see in South Lake Union and not blink twice, you
Yeah.
know. So my question to you, dear sir, is if I had to put you on the spot here, and I'd say of the lesser known relievers, because I can't have you say, oh, Andres Munoz.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
of the no name's kind of mean, but it's what I wrote down. But the no name relievers on the Mariners roster currently, which of them makes the biggest impact for the 2025 team? And we can come back and look at this later, in the year, and whether that's by WAR or innings or whatever nerdy thing we pick out. But I mean, you look at this list here, right? And there's the guys that we know, but then there's Tyler J. Carlos Vargas hasn't made an impact with the Mariners yet.
Hmm.
Hagen Danner. I don't know if we can throw Cody Bolton in there, but I mean, he didn't really stick. I know he kind of bounced up and down. Um,
Yeah.
Austin Kitchen is on here. So I don't know. From that group, who do you think makes the biggest name out of the pen for Seattle this year?
Um, uh, what if, hear
Mm,
me out here.
okay.
What if Emerson Hancock becomes a reliever?
Wow. That's hmm. Okay. That's not something I'd considered. I know that, obviously he's made some appearances for the Mariners as a starter when they've had guys lost to injury the
Hmm.
last two seasons.
We had Wu down early last year, yeah.
Yep. And Logan Evans, I think Brittany and I talked about this last week, but they toyed with the idea of Logan Evans in the bullpen. And then they said, screw it, you're a starter. Right now he's your sixth starter, right?
Hmm.
And I've floated the idea throughout the offseason that if the Mariners do end up trading Luis Castillo for a package that's realistic and not whatever Orioles fans or Red Sox fans think they deserve.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, if you can't land Sasaki, which it doesn't seem like you've even gotten a per division, Jude, you haven't gotten a meeting with the guy,
Don't get
even
me
though there is
started.
a mystery team.
Yeah.
Um,
There's always a mystery team, and it's always everybody's team. It's the Pirates,
it's
really.
the Seattle Kraken, actually. They're
Yeah. He's actually
um
a really good point guard.
oh my God, Jesus Christ. I was like, well, I mean, Emerson's fine. Obviously, when you have the rotation that you've had, you hold the pitching to such a high standard. Emerson is more than fine, I think, to be a fifth rotation guy.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah, that would be fascinating. I mean, he's 26. Um, I don't know. That's interesting. That is interesting. I mean, if there is a day I'll be at the ballpark, right? And I somehow get this news that they're gonna pull him out of the pen. I'm just texting Jake immediately. Son of a bitch. That's oh, I swore in the show. There we go. That's all I'll say. That's
I
it.
did it. I got Charles to swear.
Um, wow. Okay, threw me for a loop there.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think his sinker out of the pen could actually be really good.
interesting. Okay, all right. No, I mean it's not the craziest. I've heard worse. Hear me out. So we'll just say that.
Okay, there you
Um,
go.
uh, we'll go to a different topic here,
Oh,
and
hold
maybe
on.
the
Who's your guy?
Mariners. Huh?
Who's your
Oh,
guy? Come on.
my
Who's your
guy.
impact bullpen?
Um,
You're just gonna pull one out of a hat. Look at him.
no, I'm looking at the list here. Just for the fun of the name, Austin Kitchen is gonna cook this year out
There
of
you
the
go.
bullpen. Um,
Imagine the promo deals they could do with
yeah,
Austin
see,
Kitchen.
see,
The
well, and
meal
then
deals
the meal deals.
at concessions.
Jen
Come on.
Mueller can get him to go on I Cook You Measure. Um, I'm cooking here.
You're
See what?
cooking. We need
Hey,
this actually.
hey, my lunch is gonna be this Hostess cupcake, but we're cooking here.
Fantastic.
Uh,
I think
I
we all got
mean,
to get on the Austin Kitchen train just for the potential commercials. Now that the commercials are back.
hey, yeah, there you go. I mean, there's some other names here. I mean, yeah, there's some other fascinating names here, but I don't know. I wanted to say Hagen Danner just because just he would be the weird like again, if you took any knowledge of Paul Sewald out of your brain, like that's a fascinating name in its own right, right?
Yeah.
So, I would have gone with that, but no, I was like, let's go with something interesting and go with Austin Kitchen here. And he's also a guy that I've largely not heard anything about. So, of course, he would be the one to be productive, right? So, um, to go back to my comments about hearing me out, maybe the Mariners are saying hear me out to this player, and signing a deal. Um, what I imagine it'll take for this guy to sign is that Pete Alonso finally signs a deal wherever. Not with Seattle, because again, oh, hey, I do have some. Sir, I have $20.
Twenty
Please sign with
dollars,
me. Please sign.
please.
Um,
What the polar bear doing in Seattle,
what the polar
Washington?
bear doing? Yeah, he's not going to sign here. So I imagine it would take him to sign for that market to kind of shift a little bit for first base. But do you have any confidence in Seattle bringing back Justin Turner? Because at this point, that's kind of like the one guy in free agency that I know. Not that I just know, Adam Frazier's out there. I don't want him though. Um, but it's like, they talked about at the end of the season, wanting him back, whether it was Cal Raleigh or Luke Rayleigh. I don't have it on a name to rhyme. But there seemed to be mutual interest, right? So, and obviously a lot has changed though in the offseason because, it seemed like they threw everything at Carlos Santana and they wanted Carlos Santana to be here. The Mariners offered him the most money and he said, I want to go to Cleveland. When they traded Josh
Brutal.
Naylor. So, what do you think about a Justin Turner return? Because at the beginning of the offseason, it seemed like that was something that they were going to do, or they wanted to do at least. And now we're kind of in no man's land, obviously, with the Mariners trying to upgrade second and third base. Um, but I mean, I feel like we have, the Seattle Times had reported that there were positive discussions between the two sides earlier in the offseason. It's been like a month since then.
Mm.
So I don't know. Where are you at with Seattle potentially bringing back the Ginger Man?
Um, well, first is that I want him back. I think he's got one more in him, and I want him for that leadership. It's a guy who has won a World Series. He knows what that's like, what that takes.
What that like?
Exactly. I mean, I don't know what that's like. Do you know what that's like? Mariners certainly don't know what that's um, like as an organization. So yeah, I think I want one more year of Justin Turner, and I think he probably wants it. I mean, as soon as he got here, I think he leaned pretty hard into like Pacific Northwest as a culture. I don't know if it was, if you want to be mean, you can call it pandering. If you want to be generous, you can call it embracing the city. You've like had Soundgarden as his walk-up song when he got up here. I mean, that's pretty fun, right? Um, and I think there are worse places to spend a summer than Seattle, Washington. Um, so certainly, I think he wants to. And like you said, yeah, with Carlos Santana going to Cleveland, which I mean, you'd have to pay me a lot of money to live in Cleveland. But
Yeah.
but with him gone and like with the first base market kind of settling down, yeah, I think you go for Justin Turner. I think you go for Redbeard.
Hmm.
I think you want him, and I think you hope that in the next couple of years you can develop somebody from the minor leagues. Um, I'm gonna say bring me Ivan Melendez. Trade for him
Wow.
because I was at UT the same time he was, and he's fun to watch. And I just want to watch. I want to watch the Hispanic Titanic again.
Can
But
you put in a good word with him? Say like, hey man, sounds pretty cool. You can
yeah,
see me
absolutely.
again.
Yeah, could work. Anyway, so yeah, confidence. I'm gonna say 65%.
Okay,
I think
that's not
it's
bad.
more likely than a coin flip. Um, but you know, it might. There's still a pretty good chance that it's not going to happen. Because who knows with this front office this year? We're in cryostasis, and I feel like we're hurtling towards Alpha Centauri, and nobody's woken up at the controls yet. And at this point, we're just going to crash. Um, or, like 3 weeks before spring training, we're going to make 50 roster moves. We're going to have a completely different team, and we're going to win the World Series because somehow we got everybody else. And everybody else turned out to have really great chemistry and just good vibes. And, in baseball, that's all you need sometimes.
Power of friendship, man. I mean, the
Exactly.
Mets did it, even though they already had a good roster. So I mean, I mean,
Uh,
you look at this first base market, and it's Pete Alonso, the husk of Anthony Rizzo. Um, And then yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of the first base market. Unless you want to again, which I've talked about this on the show repeatedly, and it's just there's no way they eat cow and do it. They bring in Ty France and they say, "Hey, buddy, we are sorry for what we did to you, and we how
Oh
we like
man.
essentially publicly humiliated you. You know, come on back,
That
huh?"
was brutal. He was like a sad little puppy that day.
It was terrible. I hated it.
Um,
So
I
yeah, I don't know. I just think that's the best situation they've got right now.
mhm.
To bring him back there because I don't think Tyler Locklear's ready.
No.
Um, and I don't know if he'll be ready until like maybe later in the year or even next year because he seems to have a lot to need to work on.
Yeah.
'Cause he could be your first baseman of the future. Sure, that'd be great. I just don't think he's there. Um,
I mean,
so
my first choice, I mean, of course, is Bring Me the Polar Bear.
yeah, I mean if we that's what I was gonna say. Thank you. You unknowingly helped me figure it out. Um, so uh oh yeah, I was like, if they just like do slash creative and give themselves a million diamonds, and then they can spend money
Hmm.
on oh shit, I already forgot Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman. Say, hey,
Bring
boom
Me
boom,
Breggy too. Yeah.
yeah, like call it good. I hell at that point I'd be fine with the platoon of Demo, Ryan Bliss, and maybe even a little bit of oh shoot, my little friend, what's his name? Um, oh shoot.
Hold on, but first, put some respect on Demo's name. He put it together last year.
Sure. No, and that's what I'm saying is if you are able to get a legitimate upgrade at a third base or
Hmm.
somehow you get a guy at first, I talked about this, I think it was 2 weeks ago when the guy called me a white supremacist.
Yes.
Um I was like, of the platoon situations in the infield, at first, second, or third, I'm fine with second because I know you've got a Dylan Moore, there who can eat the bulk of it, and then you give him a day off or you put him somewhere else when another guy in the lineup needs a break. Maybe he'll pitch it at this point. And you can put a Ryan Bliss or shoot, help me out here. He played some shortstop.
Hmm.
Um, he ended the season with the Mariners. You know who I'm talking about. I know you do. Leo
Uh,
Rivas. There we go.
oh man, that
Yeah,
I
you throw in that
Men
sort
in
of
Black
trifecta
memory
of
clickered Leo Rivas myself.
Dylan Moore, Ryan Bliss, Leo Rivas. Like, there you go. Anyway, and that will help us wrap the show up. Which infield position of first base, second base, third base gets the most money allocated to that position this offseason? It's not going to be a lot of money,
It's not. It's gonna be
but
about
what's your
$30
prediction
and a
here?
fork made out of salt. But
Ah,
uh, it. I think it's gonna be third though, because
really?
I live in delusion.
Okay.
It's a great state to be in. No income tax. Um, and I think bring me Breggy, please. I'll forgive him. I'll forgive him for 2017. Just bring me Bregman, please.
And then something that was like a
Was he on that
no
team?
conversation for me was I've had people ask me, well, would Seattle be able to handle having a former Ash? I think they'd care at that point with how
No, yeah,
depraved this fan base has been of like bringing in legitimate upgrades. Like I think they'd be more than happy to welcome Alex Bregman here. Honestly, if I don't think that's an issue. I really don't. And if there are fans who are going to boo the guy, they're just clueless. Those are the fans
yeah,
bringing in the Dustin Ackley jerseys unironically.
yeah.
Like, you know, I just I am, I think they could handle that, but it's also such a like unlikely thing that I don't even know if we need to have that conversation, right?
Yeah, like the way I see it, the Astros cheating thing is funny more than it's anything. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
boo Altuve and everybody like when they come visit because that's fun. It's funny, but like
Haha, funny.
if like we get Altuve on our team, all is forgiven. Like, I'll love the guy forever. Because it's a game. And sometimes you just gotta go, oh yeah, they had like a complicated system where they were, like using high resolution cameras to steal signs and then decided the best way to communicate that information was to bang a trash can. That's really funny. Come on. That's awesome. Like you gotta respect it at a certain level. And yeah, boo them when they're on another team because that's fun too. And when they come here, you start wearing t-shirts that say bang bang because it's funny. Uh,
Yeah. I just that's the thing too is I'll interact with people during those Houston series where it's like, aren't you tired of this? I'm like, I like you said, I just find it amusing. I was like, oh, I'll
yeah,
be right, like I'll be the last batter, I'll be putting in my scorecard. I'm like I'm
yeah,
writing like a
exactly.
backwards K because George Kirby has fanned 18 players at that point and they're still trailing by two. And I'm like, Jose Altuve got booed again. Like,
Hmm.
you know, more amusing again to me than anything else. So,
Yeah.
but third base, yeah, no, I mean, that is the one of the positions I do think they are the lacking the most in,
Hmm.
whether it is internally or like a situation that makes sense because, first base, you probably like at least how it's looking now is Luke Raley. Um, which I like Luke Raley, don't get me wrong. And
Yeah.
people were all like, when Brittany and I talked about first base, they're like, aren't you forgetting Luke Raley could play there? I'm like, no, but they should have upgraded anyway. Like Luke
Yes.
Raley, how I've described Luke Raley and Dylan Moore are they should be the first guys that come off a contending team's bench, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like
Yeah.
they can do it all, don't get me wrong, and they'll have their Linsanity runs, but they shouldn't be 140 game players.
Hmm.
Realistically, and it's no discredit to them, but that's just kind of where they're capped out at. I know Luke Raley's semi-young, and so maybe I don't know, maybe he has a gear and he is your first baseman somehow.
Is he
You
at
know,
Driveline this winter?
I mean, I should install a Ring doorbell camera there and just see who comes in and out.
That's a good
But I
idea.
have not seen that. To be fair, so I'm not sure. Um, but you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I, in at second base, I've talked about the trifecta of the Demo, Ryan
Hmm.
Bliss, Leo Riva. Like those guys are fine.
Yeah.
Third
I
base,
think
though, I'm like, what do you do there?
yeah, the second base thing, I think that's the most likely thing we're gonna get is that kind of three-man platoon. Third base, I gotta hope they have a plan. I gotta think they have a plan because they got rid of Josh Rojas, who was the best third baseman in baseball for the first 3 months of the season.
They said, Josh, we're not. What was? Do you have an option? Or what was it? They said, no, we don't want to do that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he hit really well at the beginning of the year, which was fascinating.
Hmm.
Um, and they were just putting. Oh yeah, I remember because I was in Minnesota when they threw him in left field, and they were saying, "We just need you in the line. Like we
Yeah,
want you out there." And I was like, "Oh
yeah.
Jesus Christ!" And he played like Gold Glove defense for the remainder of the year.
Hmm.
Um, 'Cause Perry Hill is Jesus and works all wonders, but gets annoyed
Yes.
at the bots on Threads. I see that now. I'll open Threads, and he's like, it's the bots that are like, "Don't you want to be my friend?" And he's replying, "No, I do not." I'm like, Perry, just leave him alone. God bless
I've
Perry
had
Hill.
Perry yell at me before, so I understand what it's like
Um,
to be on the receiving end of Perry's social media frustration. Love the guy; he's the best.
but yeah, you look at the available third baseman, and it's Bregman, who, you're speaking different tax bracket here. You look at Yohan Moncada, who Brittany and I have talked about, and you're essentially kicking the tires there, right? That's
Hmm.
reclamation project. Um, and then the spot track's being weird for me, so I can't sort by third baseman. But it like we go down the list here. Nicky Lopez. I mean, do you
Mm.
want to? You lost Josh Rojas to the White Sox. You could then take the White Sox, an infielder from the White Sox, and Nicky
God,
Lopez,
I forgot
um,
he's on the White Sox. He doesn't deserve that.
former Mariner, former organization. I don't know if he ever debuted here. Patrick Wisdom, who had some years with the Cubs, that's for sure. Um, yeah, it's just not great as you continue things down the list here. So
Yeah,
yeah, I Jace Peterson, Jesus Christ. Um, it's not great, Jake.
yeah,
Brian
but like
Anderson, you remember him?
I do. Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
mean, maybe this is just totally delusional, but like the only guy there that's actually an upgrade from Josh Rojas is Bregman.
Mhm.
So if they're moving on
Mhm.
from Rojas,
Mhm.
they got to be going after Bregman, right?
I hope. I don't
I
know.
mean,
I haven't heard anything
I haven't heard
tied to
anything
him.
either.
There
I'm
was the John
totally
Heyman
delusional.
throwing like spitballs at the wall and him
Oh
being
yeah,
like,
but
"Oh, well, if Arenado does not sign a deal, well, not sign a deal, but get traded to the Red Sox, he could go to the Mariners." I'm like, I could grow my hair back. It seems unlikely,
it's the
you
off
know.
season for everybody. We all got to make content somehow.
Yeah, and I had someone be like, "Oh, it's Heyman, lol." I was like, "I'm grasping at straws here. I'm giving anything." Like sometimes I just do it because people don't see those things. Like the Kraken had a
Yeah.
thing last night where their CEO was at their game on the road and he never does that. And people are
Hmm.
like, I was like, oh, like it blew up. Uh,
Yeah,
like we
I
don't
saw
get too
that.
much traction on Instagram, and we had like that blew up, and I was like, oh, because people don't always see it, so that's why I do that. But yeah, it's it rough out here, so I don't know. So I don't know. That is something that there are some of these things where I'd like to look back on it, see if they do in fact allocate that much resource, those resources to third base if a Justin Turner does come back, and if Austin Kitchen in fact cooks out of the Mariners
Hmm.
bullpen this upcoming year, or Emerson Hancock comes out of the Mariners bullpen, and I send Jake just a text that says "son of a bitch." So
I mean, you do that anyway, pretty often actually.
I do, yeah. It's those like faux worst boss in the world like dramatic put like black and white over me.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
sends me "son of a bitch"
yeah.
text.
Censor bar
Dun
over the
dun.
eyes. Yeah.
Yep, you get it. So yeah, this is what January 13th, 2025 episode of Mariner Mondays. This is being recorded on Sunday. So if something happens later tonight, I'll figure it out. We'll do something.
Well, we'll
Um
sit down for an emergency addendum. We got Bregman. Woo!
yeah, and I'll find some party poppers and do that because at that point that would just be the biggest thing that they've done all off season and
The
probably over the
biggest thing
last
they've
two off
done
seasons,
since
honestly.
getting Randy. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So anyway, yeah, that'll wrap it up. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how about those Zaps?
Oh, I'm excited.
I know. Where are you going to watch all those away games, though?
Away games. Huh. I was thinking of coming here since, after all, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports.
I love that idea. Hope to see y'all here.